Let's go. Hey, that's how I feel with this linebacking core. Now, being able to hear what Mike McCarthy is talking about, man, you got to get juiced up. You got to get pumped up. So let's go. Let's listen in to Mike McCarthy talk about Micah Parsons and his energy and what he brings to the table. He was on the Rich Eisen show.
And he said he wanted to be a Cowboy. Now he is. What were your conversations with him like leading up to the draft and after?
Well, definitely. I mean, the first thing is his energy. He just has that impactful, just from the first impression. It was great to see him on TV. I think it is hysterical. I think there will be a chiropractor at next year's draft, but live and learn. But no, he's just had a great visit with him and his family, and just the whole.
Oh, what they was talking about before they went into that conversational piece. You know, when Micah Parsons, when he was called on the stage, he pretty much gave the commissioner one of those good old bear hugs, jumped on him almost, snapped his neck in half. So they was talking about Roger Goodell needing a chiropractor. You know how that goes, right? But neither here nor there. At least he got him a hit on one of the guys that's been hating on the Cowboys for many of years. So shout out to Micah Parsons for that one. Let's go.
The energy of the way, to talk about his upbringing, his experience at Penn State, the year off. So he has made a huge impression on us from the first day, and even during the week with the virtual meetings and so forth. So looking forward to getting him and the rest of the draft class in here next week.
Well, now you obviously got an alpha in Jalen Smith anyway, but how much are you going to put on his plate? How much you plan on putting on Micah Parsons' plate?
Well, I think that's really what this offseason will be about. So, I mean, we have more depth at the linebacker position than frankly I've ever been a part of. So
let's stop it right now. The focus of this particular team now on the defensive side of the ball will be that defensive front, which is the front seven. But out of the front seven will be primarily the linebacking core. You got Jabril Cox, who's very athletic, gifted, can cover, and you got a downhill guy like a Micah Parsons who's not afraid to snap the quarterback in half. And then on the other side of it, whatever they planning on doing with LVE and Jalen, truth be told, Jalen might be looking at this situation saying, that's supposed to be me right there. Micah Parsons supposed to be me. So that might elevate his game, right? When we look at it in those fashions, hey, iron sharper and iron, steel sharper and steel. And of course, Jabril Cox and Micah Parsons still got to learn. They still got to learn. So they don't come into the NFL with all of the knowledge, right? And the NFL season is long, not a short one.
We're excited about, pulling that together. Speaking with Dan Quinn and the defensive staff, actually Friday morning, right after, Micah's selection, we were, we're diving into different personnel groups and so forth because, we obviously want to make sure we're creating opportunities for all of our guys.
And then the addition of Dan Quinn, and then the addition of more than just Micah Parsons. I mean, you want to talk about hitting the draft hard on one side of the ball. Your first 5-6 picks were all on the defensive side. The sense that you're adding more youth to the position, and then a defensive coordinator who acts like he's a teenager because he's so bouncing off the walls, that the concept is here, Mike, that this is automatically going to change the defense on its face. The scheme will be more attuned to what the players who you already had in there were used to before you arrived. What do you make of that general sense and narrative of the Cowboys on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, I think like any time you have a change at the head coach position, there's a vision of the football team that's obviously going to be different. I mean, that's part of why you make a change. And upon my arrival, one thing we wanted to be on defense is we wanted to have more length and more speed, and I think you're just really seeing that come into come into place now here in the second year, and I think the draft definitely reflects that. And Dan Quinn brings an expertise and an energy that we definitely our guys have already bought into. Our off-season program has been outstanding. I can't say enough about the players and the coaches, what we've been able to get done here the first couple of weeks. So, but this is more about changing the vision and how we want to play on defense. And
so one of the major things that I pulled from his conversational piece of, hey, this thing will be defense and it takes time. Basically, he said it in so many words, but pay attention to the word. They had to buy into it. Let me repeat, they have to buy into it. Sometimes you still have some of your old players from the previous regime who got a little resistance, who's not really willing to learn and pick up the new system. Now, I did mention front seven will be the focal point of Dan Quinn's situation over here. Let's not forget about the front four out of the seven. You got to have that anchor piece, somebody that can really push pocket back, require two to cover, right? Or to control or at least slow down a little bit. That's how your edges get out there to eat. Now, for anybody that's really looking into this situation saying, well, we're going to give a little bit more resistance, then this particular coaching staff looks at it like, hey, that's okay. We will replace you. Now, Dan Quinn, of course, people can look at his Atlanta Falcons years, and people can look at his last few years at Seattle Seahawks. Of course, you can look at that and say, well, it's not like we got a guy that's going to do this and do this and do that. No. Sometimes less is more. Less responsibility brings forth more focal points on this individual movement here. Maybe, just maybe, he can look at Micah Parsons and say, okay, this is what I'm going to have for you. You're going to have the Bruce Irvin role, right? Or you'll have such and such role. Or, matter of fact, you'll just have the Micah Parsons role. He'll look at Jabril Cox and say, okay, hey, instead of you doing this while you were playing in LSU, I want you to do it in this fashion. There are so many variables with this, but I want people to understand that the same staff that we have here is not the same staff that we have. I'm talking about collectively. Let me just not say staff. Let me just say roster. The same roster that we have here is not over there in Atlanta, right? Juxtaposed is not the Atlanta Falcons staff as they had over there in Seattle Seahawks. This is the Dallas Cowboys team. New staff, new philosophy, but common coach, right? So hopefully this coach on the defensive side of the coin, Dan Quinn, will be elevated in a sense that he will gravitate to what Mike McCarthy is saying. This is what I want. High energy. I want defensive turnovers and takeaways. This is my philosophy. This is what I want to bring to the table.
And I think we, like you said, I think we hit the jackpot in this year's draft.
Well, I mean, Mike McCarthy here, the Cowboys here on the Rich Eisen Show. It's interesting you use the word buy-in because that was part of the conversation last year, as I'm sure you're aware, in the Metroplex, that there was a lack of buy-in for your scheme and what you were attempting to sell to the players that were there. Do you feel that there is a better sense on that subject matter as we're sitting here the following May getting ready for a 2021 season, Mike?
Yeah, I think going back to last year, I don't know if as much of it was buying. I think it was more understanding and time together. I think any first-year head coach would have to say that time with your players was probably the biggest challenge. I know I felt that way all the way from day one. I mean, from the not being able to speak to your team in person until the first day of training camp all the way through. So I think we've actually been able to establish, how we want to play in the last 8 weeks on defense. We finished, seventh in the league and taking away the football. So that's a great foundation of how we will continue to play. And so I think it's just really part of the transition. Last year was more of the transition from, the way defense was viewed and played prior to my arrival, and hopefully I see us taking a big step there this year.
Mike McCarthy, Dallas Cowboys head coach here on the Rich Eisen Show.
So with that being said, man, we're going to get into more details later on this particular topic piece. I like the fact that he did bring up the fact that, hey, 7th in the league in interceptions, turnovers or what have you last season. In the last 8 weeks of the NFL season, he improved or what have you. The team, collectively speaking, the defense improved. So it's buying in, but he didn't say, kind of gave the PC answer of saying that it wasn't buying in. It was just more of an understanding, basically. But I can tell you, man, it took a minute for those players to buy in. Now, a third of those players are gone already. So now you're looking at it from this angle. You got new guys out there My only reservation would be, how long will it take for these new guys to learn the way? How long will it take? Will it take after week 5, week 6? That's when you have to really say to yourself, do I go out there and spend a little bit more resources and getting a veteran guy that already know the lane and the alleyway? That's up to coach at this point. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know how you guys feel about Mike McCarthy with his defense. With his defense under the leadership and the authority of Dan Quinn, be better than what we seen last season? Or will there be a little bit more growing pain since we got so many new guys out there? Post me your thoughts, post me your concerns down below. I believe that the defense will be better than what they were last year. That's my thoughts. I want to know yours. That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Go Cowboys. We'll continue this when I have more time, right? Maybe we'll do a live stream on it. Let me know if you want to hear about that. We can do like an hour live stream with Q&A going over these topics. It's a little bit more. I'll post a link in the description.